Indiana Fever many fans is still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlin Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately.
What actually took place in the background, you'll have to watch it to believe it, because this isn't your typical press conference. Nope, this is Caitlin Uncensored. And let's just say that jaws are on the floor. Grab popcorn. Caitlin Clark just dropped a brutally honest bombshell about her health, and she didn't hold back on Stephanie White. Was it shaded? Was it true? Was it wrapped in a jump shot, and was it served cold?
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and you know, that wasn't why we lost.
I can't hold you, man. That kind of looked like she let that slip out, man. I don't know. But I mean, we all see it. When they play slow, it's just not a good team, man. They're not as good as we see that they could be, right? So they need to play fast, man. I think, you know, they don't necessarily look that good when they're playing half-court ball. Maybe taking something from the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries run, all right? They be running.
She seemed worn out. Spiritually dehydrated, but not exhausted, while the WNBA puts every obstacle in her path like a warped version of American Ninja Warrior, but with worse officials and even worse coaches. Caitlin Clark is surviving on coffee, fumes, and pure resolve. The hardwood is forgotten as this woman navigates landmines.
The league needs to take care of Caitlin, not for special treatment purposes, but that's who everybody's there to see. Everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark play. And if you let other teams and other people beat the shit out of her, she's going to spend 2 weeks out injured. And your attendance is going to drop because people aren't going to get the chance to see her. And if you actually want to be paid the same as the NBA players, obviously not by actual dollar for dollar, but for revenue percentage, you need to protect her. You need her to be playing at her best and not be having the...
Referees must have thought she was a tackling dummy, but in addition to being the face of hope growth and ticket sales, she has also become their favorite chew toy. This isn't just missed calls anymore. It's a full-fledged experimental science project where referees test how many illegal screens and shoulder bumps one player can take before becoming emotional jelly.
Las Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game, but also because it seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love. So many fans are asking, what is going?
The whistles have changed into wind instruments that only play when she is the one acting, and all of a sudden the rulebook seems like a chaos-written choose-your-own-adventure book. If someone sneezes on her, it continues to play, but if she breathes close to someone, that is a flagrant 2 and a 5-game suspension.
I have figured out the solution to the Indiana Fever's problems. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. This is what we got to do. We got to put Caitlin Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense. So when the defense takes away what Caitlin Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform. So when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team.
Physicality is illegal. Not metaphorically legitimately suspicious. There are muggings with less contact at this point, and we might need to investigate whether some of these defenders have brass knuckles taped under their wristbands. Additionally, what is the league response to crickets, or worse, passive-aggressive Instagram posts that act as though nothing is wrong while their biggest star is slammed into irrelevance? Don't even get started on Indiana. The atmosphere is so depressing that it feels like a haunted group therapy session fueled by Gatorade and broken dreams. It seems as though Caitlin entered a franchise made entirely of IKEA furniture, which is brittle, unstable, and difficult to assemble. You would think Indiana would throw a lavish party for a generational talent, but instead they gave her a paper towel and directed her to a leaking faucet. She is attempting to play 4D chess while her teammates are occupied with playing hungry, hungry hippos. There is no system, no guidance, just vibrations, and not the good kind. The offense is vague, the defense is non-existent, and Stephanie White is somehow on the sidelines creating plays like she's playing Pictionary with invisible ink.
First, talk about Caitlin Clark. So she struggled once again in this game. She was 7 for 20 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3, which puts her at 1 for 17 over the past few games. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, you know that this is so unlike her. She is arguably the best shooter in the WNBA, and she is having a significant cold streak over the past 2 games. But her missing shots isn't actually what bothers me. The thing that bothered me most in the game yesterday was the one shot that she passed up. Now, she had been missing a few shots, and if you guys were on my live stream, I said the thing that she needs to do is to continue shooting. Shooters shoot. The only way to break a cold streak is to continue shooting.
Stephanie White is standing there pointing as if she's getting coffee in a noisy drive-thru, and every time Clark looks to the bench, it's like he's staring into space. As the game devolves farther into pandemonium, it's interpretive dancing rather than coaching. The players are having a full-blown existential crisis as they try to figure out which version of the plan they're following. Park's game used to be crisp and electric, but now it seems like it's buffering and her passes are a little late. 1 minute she demands fast pace, the next she yells about patience. She is hesitant where she formerly attacked with reckless genius because her confidence is a little shaken. To be honest, who wouldn't try to play basketball at the highest level while continually watching your back for flying elbows and your bench for indications of sensible life at this rate? This league is meant to protect and elevate its stars, not reduce them to dusty highlight reels and regret. But here she is being slowly drained by a league that begged for her brilliance, but forgot how to nurture it. Caitlin is going to need a sabbatical and exorcist, or perhaps both, because what is being done to her is psychological warfare rather than just bad basketball.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an interview? So how come when Caitlin Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlin Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit? Coach, just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch.
And to top it all off, she hasn't even reached her sophomore stride yet. This is supposed to be the glow-up season, the big leap, the I know what I'm doing now phase. Instead, she's trying to survive the Hunger Games with a water pistol and a group of mismatched teammates, and while the fan base is yelling for help, league officials are out here playing Sudoku with rules that are almost poetic in a tragic Shakespearean way. Stephanie White is a generational talent trapped in a Groundhog Day remake, where every game is just a remix of disappointment and bruised ribs, and she keeps grinning through press conferences as if she's unlocked some master plan that only exists in parallel dimensions.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her.
Requires a strategy of escape, a parachute, maybe even a time machine, because the longer she stays in this emotional blender, the harder it's going to be to recover. And no, this isn't just about losing games, this is about losing her identity as a player while the league sits back and lets it happen. It's baffling. They rolled out every camera and sponsorship deal the second she went pro, and now they're letting her fade behind post entries and aimless dribble handle. She's not just any player, she's The player the reason people are tuning in, and yet they're managing her like she's a spare part in a 20-year-old team rebuild with a broken GPS. Meanwhile, Stephanie White is busy treating lineups like a Pinterest board, endlessly experimenting with rotations that make zero sense, like, sure, let's take Caitlin off the ball for 80% of the game, that'll definitely fix things. If no one's going to save her, she needs to save herself. Because this is the kind of environment that doesn't just mess with your stats, it messes with your soul, and honestly, she deserves better. The fans deserve better. The game deserves better.
Well, I be damned. I be damned. 7 for 20 from the field, 1 for 10 from the three-point line, and look at those turnovers, 8 turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers. But guess what? Her Clarkies are only going to be impressed, and they're going to brag about the 19 points and 10 assists. Me personally, I'm all about efficiency. I'm concerned about those last 3, them turnovers, which she leads the league in turnovers. She is shooting horrible from the field. And as far as them three-pointers, in the last 2 games, she's only made 1 three-pointer, and that's the one against the 8.
Therefore, Caitlin Clark should start packing her bags unless Indiana finds a coach who understands the difference between motion offense and chaotic flailing. If she stays much longer, we won't be witnessing the rise of a superstar, but rather the demise of a legend under bad whistles, apathy, and Stephanie White's enchanted tour of tactical confusion. She is on the court in the interim, but she is not even close to running the show. Caitlin Clark appears to be stuck in a dystopian stage play where she is the lead, but is never permitted to speak. Her movements and talent are unaffected, but the authority, leadership, and spark of command that once made her the center of attention in the basketball universe are being smothered, dimmed, and erased. Caitlin Clark isn't being developed. Rather, she is being dismantled piece by piece, much like a car being dismantled for parts in a back alley garage, and everyone is behaving as though nothing unusual is happening, as though being gaslit into insignificance is a character development exercise. Spoiler alert, it's not. Instead, it's a slick WNBA logo covering a slow, vicious, soul-sucking drain.
That Indiana Fever were trying to be that team that runs you off the floor, that hustles. I felt like they were the deepest team. Like, looking at the roster, man, they actually have some players that could run the floor. And I'm just like, dang, bro, it's really crazy to see that they're not really trying to run the floor like I would expect them to. And also using Michaela Timpson. Like, that is some young pair of legs, man. You should be using Michaela Timpson to help you run the floor, play lockdown defense, hustle defense, you know, winning the 50-50 balls. You need young legs to do that, man.
Additionally, she is still present and standing, but at what cost? Each game adds another layer of injuries. She is surviving on fumes and wrath, and the toll is evident in her physical and mental reputation. The body language stiffens and the smiles tighten. The fire's burning beneath a heap of bullshit, and worst of all, it's deliberate erosion rather than an accident. Let's not act like this is just about one team. It's systemic. The entire league is letting the mob loose on her and then shrugging as if it's all part of the culture. Apparently, we needed that little sideswipe to round out the madness. A man who could have offered wisdom or solidarity chose to go full demolition mode, without warning or context. Just a condescending wrecking ball of unwarranted shade directed directly at a 22-year-old navigating the biggest circus in sports right now, as if she needed more reasons to doubt everything.